Hey, after we finished learning the fundamentals of GSAP, in this video we'll make a deep dive into the Draggable plugin. First things first, to make use of the plugin, we need to import it to the project. Making an element draggable is pretty easy. We should just use the create function and provide the ID or class of the element. As you can see, there is no limits to where the element can be taken to, so I can keep dragging the square out of the window, but once I take my finger off the mouse, I can no longer get the element back to the window from where I left it. This problem can be fixed using the bounds property, which sets a limit to where the draggable can be moved to. In my case, I will use the div with the class name of container as value for the bounds property, which means that the square can no longer be out of this div. Type is another important property which can take x as value, which means that we can drag the element only horizontally. Y as value means that we can drag the element only vertically. XY is the default behavior. Rotation makes the element rotate instead of being dragged, and there's also scroll, which makes the content of the element itself draggable. It's kind of similar to touch events on mobile phones or tablets. A draggable element has also callback functions. OnClick is one of them, which gets fired once it catches a click event. OnDragStart is also a callback function which gets triggered if the elements start getting dragged. There's also onDragEnd, which is the reverse of onDragStart, so once the element gets dropped, the callback function gets triggered. Another very important callback function is onDrag, which gets called whenever the element is getting moved. We can specify in which direction we are dragging the element using the getDirection method. We can pass a parameter to getDirection, which is another element that, depending on its position, we can get the dragging direction of the current element. To figure out if the dragged element overlap another one, we should use the hitTest method. We can also specify a second parameter to tell when this method should inform about the collision. 10 here means the function gets fired when the two squares reach 10 pixels of intersection. We can also use percentages to do the same thing. Lastly, there is the live snap method, which transforms the free dragging into defined steps. In this example, we can drag the element only horizontally to a certain points that are provided inside the X array. However, we still can freely move the square on the Y-axis. We still can do the same thing vertically, adding the Y array. There is also another way of transforming the drag into steps using the X and Y object notation. We can also create the same effect as the Photoshop magnetic feature, which will stick an element to another one if they are close enough to each other. To do that, we need to add the radius property to the live snap method. Notice that we are back to freely moving the element around, but once it gets closer to a certain amount of space provided by radius, the element automatically goes to the point provided by the points property. You can find more about the Draggable plugin in the documentation on the GreenSock's website. With that said, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification, and see you in the next one.